dropping into water. The agency will refund your money. They said so in the letter. Tommy looked up at her, way up, and felt something crack open in his chest. Not disappointment, recognition. This woman, with her guarded eyes and defensive posture, looked exactly like he felt every time he walked into town. Too different, too much of what people didn't want to see. Do you want to go back? He asked quietly. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her throat worked like she was swallowing something sharp. I want to go where I fit, and that's not here. How do you know? You just got off the train. Because I can see, she gestured at him, at herself, at the impossible mathematics of their bodies. Look at us. Look at you and look at me and tell me this makes sense. Tommy put his hat back on, picked up her trunk like it weighed nothing, which it probably did compared to the feed sacks he hauled daily. My ranch is 40 minutes north. Come see it before you decide. If you still want to leave after that, I'll pay for your ticket back myself. Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe. She'd expected him to agree with her, to confirm what everyone else had already said, that she was wrong, that she didn't fit, that mistakes were made. Why? The question came out harsh. Why waste your time? Because I spent 10 years building that ranch alone. Another 40 minutes won't kill me. And because... He stopped, searching for words that wouldn't sound desperate. Because you traveled 2,000 miles on a promise. Least I can do is show you what you traveled for. She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly, she nodded. The wagon ride was silent except for the creak of wheels and the steady breathing of Tommy's horse. Astrid sat rigid beside him, hands clasped in her lap, trying to take up as little space as possible. Which was impossible. She was everywhere, her shoulder nearly touching his, her height making the wagon seat feel cramped, her presence filling the air like a storm about to break. Tommy kept his eyes on the road, but felt her tension like heat. The agency letter, he said finally. What did it tell you about me? Chinese rancher. 32 years old, owned property, seeking wife for partnership on working ranch. She recited it like a contract. It said you were fair and hard-working and needed help with the cattle. That's it? That was enough. Her voice went quieter. Nobody else wanted someone like me. Tommy's hands tightened on the reins. Someone like you? Too big. Too strong. She stopped, jaw clenched. The last man who courted me told his friends I was built like an ox. He thought I couldn't hear. But I have good ears. The rage that flashed through Tommy was immediate and bright. He knew that feeling. Knew what it was like to hear people talk about you like you weren't human, like you were just a curiosity or a problem to solve. That man was a fool, Tommy said. Maybe, or maybe he was honest. Astrid finally looked at him, and her eyes were the color of winter ice. You'll think the same soon enough, when I break something else. When you realize I don't fit in your house or your life, or my house is small, Tommy interrupted. I built it for me, not for you. If it doesn't fit, that's not your fault. It's the house's fault. She blinked, like he'd spoken in a language she didn't understand. They rounded a bend and the ranch appeared. It wasn't much. A small cabin, a barn that needed paint, corrals holding maybe 30 head of cattle, and land stretching toward mountains that looked purple in the afternoon light. But it was neat, organized, everything in its place. Tommy stopped the wagon. 200 acres. Started with 12 cattle 10 years ago. Now I run 200 head, sell to the railroad twice a year. I do most of the work myself. Hire help during roundup and branding. He glanced at her. It's not fancy, but it's mine. Astrid looked at the ranch with something like hunger in her eyes. Not for him, for what he'd built. For the idea that someone could carve out a space in the world and claim it. You did this alone? She asked. Had to. Most men won't work for a Chinese boss. Most women think ranch life is too hard. He climbed down from the wagon. Come on, I'll show you inside. The cabin was exactly as he'd left it that morning. Clean but cramped. One main room with a kitchen area, a bedroom barely big enough for his small bed, and furniture he'd built himself to his proportions. Everything was lower than standard. The doorways, the shelves, even the hooks for coats Astrid had to duck to enter. Her head cleared the doorframe by maybe 2 inches. Inside, she stood in the center of the room and slowly turned, taking it all in. Tommy watched her face, saw the moment reality settled in. She was too big for this space. Way too big. Sit, Tommy said, gesturing to the chair by the table. You must be tired. She sat carefully, like approaching a trap. The chair held, barely. It creaked under her weight in a way that made her face go tight with shame. Tommy moved to the stove, started making coffee. I built all this furniture myself. Never thought I'd need to build it for anyone else. He poured water, measured grounds. I was wrong. What do you mean? I mean I built everything for alone. For surviving, not for living. He turned to face her. You make me realize how small I've been thinking. Astrid's throat worked. Tommy, stay the month, he said. That's what the contract says. 1 month trial. If after 30 days you want to leave, I'll pay your way to wherever you want to go. But give it 30 days. Give me 30 days to show you that maybe we can make this work. She looked at him with those winter eyes, and he saw the war happening inside her. Hope fighting with every disappointment she'd ever collected. Want wrestling with the fear of wanting. And if I break everything, she whispered, if nothing fits, then we'll build it better. Tommy said it like a promise, like a vow. We'll build it all again until it does. The word hung in the air between them. We, not I'll fix you, or you need to change. Just we. Astrid's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. 30 days. 30 days, Tommy agreed. Neither of them knew that by day 8 everything would be broken. Neither knew that breaking would be exactly what they needed. They only knew that for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt quite so alone. And sometimes that's enough to start with. The first thing that broke was the chair. Day 1, dinner time, and Astrid sat down like she'd been taught, carefully, gracefully, the way her mother said a lady should. The wood groaned. Then it cracked. Then Astrid was on the floor, surrounded by splintered pieces, her face burning red with humiliation. Tommy was across the room in seconds. Are you hurt? I'm fine. She scrambled to her feet, brushing off her skirt. I'm so sorry. I'll pay for it. It's just a chair. Tommy picked up the pieces, examining them with the practiced eye of someone who understood wood and weight. I built it too light. My mistake. Your mistake? Astrid's voice went sharp. I'm the one who broke it. You sat in a chair I offered you. That's not breaking. That's using furniture for its purpose. If it couldn't hold you, I built it wrong. He carried the pieces to the corner. I'll make a stronger one. She stared at him like he was speaking backwards. Every other man in her life had made her feel like an accident waiting to happen. This one was talking about the chair, like it was the problem, not her. That night she couldn't sleep. The bed was too short. Her feet hung off the end by almost a foot, and every time she shifted, the frame creaked ominously. Around midnight, she finally drifted off. Around 2 a.m, she rolled over, and the whole frame gave way with a crack like a gunshot. Astrid hit the floor hard. The mattress collapsed around her, and Tommy came running from where he'd been sleeping in the barn, rifle in hand, thinking someone was attacking the ranch. He found her sitting in the wreckage of his bed, crying into her hands. Astrid, don't. Her voice was muffled by her palms. Just don't. I know what you're going to say. That it's fine. That it's not my fault. That you'll build another one. But Tommy, I can't keep destroying everything you own. I can't keep being too much for every space I try to exist in. He set the rifle down, sat on the floor beside her in the mess of broken wood and mattress ticking, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. She was still taller than him, even sitting down. When I was 8, Tommy said quietly, my father brought me to help build the railroad. Chinese workers weren't allowed to eat with the white workers, weren't allowed to sleep in the same cars, weren't paid the same wages. They put us in the most dangerous positions because they said we were expendable. He picked up a piece of the broken bed frame. I watch men die because the bosses built everything too cheap, too fast, too careless. They didn't care if it fit. They didn't care if it held. And when things broke, they blamed the workers, not the builders. Astrid lowered her hands, looking at him. I swore when I got my own place, I'd build everything right, everything strong, everything to last. He met her eyes. But I built it all for me, just me. And that was its own kind of careless, wasn't it? Building like I'd never need anyone else. Tommy, the bed is too small. The chair was too weak. The doorways are too low. None of that is your fault, Astrid. That's mine. I built a life that couldn't hold anyone but me. He stood, offered her his hand. So let's build a better one. Starting tomorrow, she took his hand. His fingers barely wrapped around hers, but his grip was solid, strong. He pulled her up, or tried to. She mostly lifted herself, but the gesture counted. Where will you sleep tonight? She asked. Barn's fine. I've got a good bedroll. That's not fair. I broke your bed. You should rest. His voice was firm but kind. Take the mattress on the floor. It's comfortable enough. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest, she wanted to argue. But she was exhausted. Exhausted from travel and fear and a lifetime of feeling like she took up too much space. So she nodded. Tommy started to leave, then paused at the door. Astrid, thank you. For what? Breaking your furniture? For staying, he smiled, small, genuine. For giving the 30 days a chance. After he left, Astrid lay on the mattress on the floor and stared at the ceiling. The cabin smelled like wood smoke and coffee, and something distinctly Tommy. Sage and leather and hard work. Outside, cattle lowed softly. A coyote called to the moon. She thought about the way he'd sat beside her in the wreckage. The way he'd called it his mistake, not hers. The way he'd looked at broken furniture and seen a problem to solve, not a character flaw in her. Maybe 30 days wouldn't be enough. Maybe it would take longer to see if this could work. But for the first time since she'd stepped off that train, Astrid felt something dangerous and fragile unfurl in her chest. Hope. The next morning, she woke to the sound of hammering. She dressed quickly and stepped outside to find Tommy already working in the yard. He'd set up a makeshift workshop, planks of wood laid across sawhorses, tools organized neatly, measurements marked carefully. What are you doing? She asked. Building you a chair. He didn't look up, just kept working. One that'll hold. Then I'm raising the doorframes. Then the bed. Tommy, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Now he looked at her, and his eyes were determined. You're going to be here 30 days at least. Probably more if I have any say in it. You shouldn't spend those days ducking through doorways and sitting on the floor because I built everything wrong. You didn't build it wrong. You built it for yourself. Same thing. He returned to his work. Coffee's hot in the kitchen. Help yourself. Then if you want, I could use your help with the morning feeding. Cattle need hay. Chickens need grain. She poured coffee, strong and black, exactly how she liked it, and watched him work through the window. His movements were precise, economical. No wasted motion. He measured twice, cut once, and everything he touched became exactly what it needed to be. After her coffee, she found him in the barn. The cattle were already lowing, hungry and impatient. What do you need me to do? She asked. Tommy pointed to the hay bales stacked in the corner. Those need to go into the feeding troughs. Usually takes me 3 trips. The bales are heavy. Astrid walked over, lifted a bale easily. It probably weighed 70 pounds, and carried it to the trough like it was full of feathers. Then another. Then another. What would have taken Tommy half an hour took her 10 minutes. When she finished, she found him staring at her. What? She felt defensive immediately. Did I do it wrong? No. His voice was quiet, awed. You did it perfectly. He shook his head. The agency letter said, strong woman. I thought that meant sturdy, capable. But you're actually strong. Like really strong. She tensed, waiting for the fear or mockery or disgust that usually followed that observation. Instead, Tommy smiled, wide and genuine and wondering. That's incredible. Do you know how much time you just saved? How much easier Roundup will be with you helping? Astrid, you're not too much. You're exactly what this ranch needs. The words hit her like a physical blow. Not because they were cruel, because they were kind. Because he was looking at her strength, the thing that had made her a freak, a joke, an ox, and seeing value. Her voice caught. Most men are afraid of how strong I am. Then most men are fools. Tommy moved closer. You want to know what I see when I look at you? She couldn't speak, just nodded. I see someone who can do in 10 minutes what takes me an hour. I see someone who won't break under hard work. I see a partner who could help me build this ranch into something real. He paused. I see someone I'd be lucky to have beside me. If she'll stay. Astrid's eyes burned. The doorways are too low. I'll raise them. The bed broke. I'll build a stronger one. The chair is already halfway done. Tommy reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and took her hand. Astrid, everything I built was too small because I was thinking too small. You didn't break my furniture. You showed me I needed to build bigger, build better, build for two instead of one. She looked down at their joined hands, his so much smaller than hers. But he held on like he wasn't afraid, like he wouldn't let go. What if I'm still too much? She whispered. What if 30 days isn't enough time to fix everything? Then we'll take 60 days, or 90, or however long it takes. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. I'm not in a hurry, Astrid. I waited 10 years for my ranch. I can wait as long as you need to believe you belong here. She pulled her hand back, not in rejection, but in self-protection, because believing him felt dangerous. Felt like setting herself up for the worst kind of hurt. I should get back to work, she said. Okay. He didn't push, just nodded. Chicken coop is out back if you want to gather eggs. And there's fence that needs mending on the north pasture. She spent the day working, hauling, lifting, doing all the things her body was built for. And every time she passed Tommy, he was still building, raising door frames, reinforcing furniture, creating space for her without asking her to shrink. By evening, the main doorway was 6 inches taller. By bedtime, she had a chair that didn't creak when she sat in it. He'd carved her initials into the back. AJ, try it, he said, wiping sawdust from his hands. She sat slowly. The chair held perfectly, solid, strong, built for exactly who she was. How does it feel? Tommy asked. Astrid ran her fingers over the armrests, the carved initials, the sturdy frame. Like it was made for me? It was, he smiled. Everything from now on will be. That night, sleeping on the floor mattress again, Astrid realized something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She was falling in love with the small rancher who looked at her like she was exactly right, and she had no idea how to survive if he ever changed his mind. By day 8, Astrid had hit her head on door frames 17 times, broken 2 more chairs Tommy hadn't reinforced yet, and cracked the handle off the water pump with one too strong pull. She kept a mental count, like collecting evidence against herself, building a case for why she should leave before Tommy finally admitted what she already knew, that she was a disaster in human form. The morning of day 8 started like the others. She woke before dawn, dressed in the work clothes Tommy had bought her in town, men's trousers and a sturdy shirt because nothing in the women's section fit her frame. She made coffee, fed the chickens, and hauled hay to the cattle while Tommy worked on raising another door frame. But something was different today. Wrong. She felt it in her bones like weather changing. Tommy was quieter than usual. His movements at breakfast were careful, measured. He kept glancing at her like he wanted to say something, but didn't know how. Finally, Astrid couldn't take it anymore. What is it? What's what? You're being strange, quiet. She set down her coffee cup too hard and it cracked. Not shattered, just a hairline fracture down the side. Another thing broken. Just say whatever you're thinking. Tommy was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to his jacket hanging by the door and pulled out an envelope. He placed it on the table between them. Astrid's stomach dropped. She recognized the letterhead. The mail-order bride agency. It came yesterday, Tommy said. I didn't want to show you until I figured out what to say. She didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to know. But her hand moved anyway, pulling the letter from the envelope with fingers that shook slightly. Dear Mr. Chen, we regret to inform you that an error was made in processing your request. The woman sent to you, Miss Astrid Johansdottir, does not meet the specifications outlined in your original application. You requested a woman of average build, suitable for domestic work and companionship. Miss Johansdottir's physical proportions are considered unsuitable for traditional wifely duties. We are prepared to offer a full refund and will send a replacement bride at no additional cost. Miss Clara Morrison, age 24 of Ohio, meets your specifications precisely. She can arrive within 2 weeks of your confirmation. Please respond at your earliest convenience to arrange the exchange. Sincerely, Mrs. Patricia Wendell Rocky Mountain, matrimonial agency. The words blurred. Astrid read them twice to make sure she understood. Unsuitable, exchange, replacement, like she was a piece of furniture that arrived damaged. She set the letter down, carefully, stood, walked to the bedroom and pulled her trunk. From under the bed, the same trunk she'd unpacked just 8 days ago. Astrid. Tommy followed her to the doorway. Wait! You don't have to say anything. Her voice came out steady despite the shaking in her hands. I understand. The agency is right. I'm not what you asked for. I'm not suitable. She started folding clothes mechanically. I'll take the morning train. You don't need to pay for the ticket. I have enough saved. Astrid, stop. I can't stop. Don't you see? She turned to face him, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. I break everything, Tommy, your furniture, your dishes. They don't fit through your doors. I can't wear normal clothes. I can't be what a wife is supposed to be, small and delicate and easy. Her voice cracked. I tried. I really tried. But it's not enough. I'm not enough. You're wrong. The letter says, I don't care what the letter says. Tommy stepped into the room. I care what I say. And I say you're exactly what I need. You're just being kind. I'm being honest. His voice went hard, determined. Yes, you break things. You know what else you do. You hauled a month's worth of hay in 3 days. You fixed the fence that's been falling apart for 2 years. You spotted the sick calf before I did and saved its life with your quick thinking. You work harder than any hand I've ever hired and never once complained. That's not the same as being a good wife. Who decides what makes a good wife? Tommy moved closer. Some agency back east that's never set foot on a working ranch? Some woman who thinks suitable means small and quiet and decorative? He shook his head. That's not what I need, Astrid. That's never been what I need. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it physically hurt. But a lifetime of being too much made belief feel impossible. They're sending Clara Morrison, she said quietly. She meets your specifications exactly. She'll fit in your house. She won't break anything. She'll be everything I can't be. I don't want Clara Morrison. Tommy's voice was raw now, almost desperate. I don't want average build and domestic skills and whatever else that letter claims I asked for. I want you. The words hung in the air between them, simple, devastating, true. Astrid's hands stilled on the trunk. Why? Because you make me laugh. Because you sing to the chickens in Norwegian and don't realize I can hear you. Because you're the first person in 10 years who looked at my ranch and saw potential instead of just work. He took another step closer. Because when I watch you move hay bales, I don't think too strong. I think thank God. And because every time you duck through a doorway I built too small, I don't see you as the problem. I see me and my small thinking. Me and my fear of needing anyone. Her breath caught. You didn't break my furniture, Astrid. You broke open my life, made me see how much bigger it could be. How much better it could be with you in it. His voice went softer. And I know 8 days isn't long. I know you probably don't feel the same way I'm starting to feel. But if there's any chance at all that you might want to stay, I'm asking you to ignore that letter. Stay. Give me the rest of the 30 days. Let me prove that you're not too much. You're just right. Astrid closed her eyes. Felt tears finally spill over and track down her cheeks. How you're starting to feel. Like I'd be the biggest fool in Dakota Territory if I let you get on that train. She opened her eyes, looked at him, really looked at him. Saw the hope and fear warring in his expression, saw the way his hands clenched at his sides like he wanted to reach for her, but was afraid she'd disappear. I break things, she whispered, so we'll build them stronger. I don't fit, so we'll make more room. I'm scared. The admission came out broken, honest. I'm scared that I'll start to believe you. Start to think maybe I could belong here. And then you'll wake up one day and realize the agency was right and I'm too much and I'll have to leave anyway. And it'll hurt so much worse because I let myself hope. Tommy closed the distance between them, reached up, way up, and gently wiped the tears from her cheeks with calloused thumbs. I can't promise everything will be easy. Can't promise we won't have hard days, or that you won't break something else, or that building a life together won't take work." His hands cradled her face like she was something precious. "But I can promise I won't give up. Won't send you away. Won't decide one day that you're too much. Because, Astrid," his voice cracked, "you're the first thing in my life that's finally been enough." She made a sound between a laugh and a sob. "You're sure? You're really sure?" "I'm writing back to that agency today, telling them I don't want a refund or a replacement, telling them they can keep their Clara Morrison because I already have exactly who I need. Tommy, unless you want to go. If you really want to leave, I'll take you to the station myself. I'll pay your ticket anywhere you want." He lowered his hands, but didn't step back. "But if you stay, if you give us the full 30 days, I promise I'll spend every single one of them showing you that you belong here. With me." Astrid looked down at her trunk half-packed, looked at the room where she'd slept for 8 nights, looked at the man who saw her strength and called it a gift instead of a burden. Then she closed the trunk. 30 days, she said. 30 days, Tommy agreed, but they both knew the truth. 30 days wasn't an ending anymore. It was just the beginning. That afternoon, Tommy took her into town. She tried to protest. She hated going into town, hated the stares and whispers, but he insisted. "We need supplies, and I need to mail a letter." They rode the wagon in comfortable silence. When they reached town, people stared just like always. Astrid kept her eyes down, tried to make herself smaller. Impossible task. Tommy climbed down, then turned and offered his hand to help her. She didn't need help, but she took his hand anyway. Let him be a gentleman even though she was twice his size. At the general store, Mrs. Patterson's eyes went wide. "My word, Tommy, is this—" "My wife, Astrid." Tommy said it firm, proud. "She needs work gloves, the heavy kind, and canvas pants, men's size if you have them. And I need to send a letter." Mrs. Patterson recovered quickly, started pulling items from shelves. "Of course. And congratulations on your marriage. Will you be having a celebration?" "Not yet," Tommy said. "But soon." They gathered supplies, practical things, work things, things that acknowledged what Astrid actually did, rather than what people thought a wife should do. At the post office, Tommy sealed his letter to the agency and handed it over with finality. On the ride home, Astrid finally asked, "What did you write to them?" Tommy's mouth curved into a smile. "I told them to remove my name from their list permanently. Told them Miss Johansdotter suits me perfectly, and if they can't see that, they're in the wrong business." He glanced at her. "Also might have mentioned that any woman who can haul hay bales and mend fences and save dying calves is worth 10 Clara Morrisons." Astrid laughed, actually laughed. The sound surprised her, full and genuine and free. "There it is," Tommy said quietly. "What?" "That sound. You should laugh more. It's a good sound." She felt her cheeks warm, felt something dangerous and wonderful taking root in her chest. Something that felt like maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found a place where she fit. Not because she'd made herself smaller, but because someone had the courage to build bigger. The 30 days came and went. Astrid stayed. They married for real that spring, a simple ceremony with Samuel as witness. When the preacher asked if they took each other, their voices rang clear. "I do." Tommy built the cabin addition by summer. Higher doorways, stronger furniture, space designed for both of them. On the mantel, he placed a carved wooden plaque. "Let's try it again." "Our motto," he explained, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Every time something doesn't fit, we don't give up. We just try again. Together." "Together," Astrid agreed, looking down at the man who taught her that love doesn't demand you shrink. It builds bigger doors. Their son was born the following spring. 10 pounds, broad-shouldered, perfect. When Henrik asked years later how his parents met, they'd smile and say, "Mama was too big for Papa's world. So Papa built a bigger world." Because the best love stories aren't about fitting perfectly. They're about finding someone brave enough to rebuild everything until you both belong. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and which moment moved you most. Hit like and share this with someone who needs to hear they're not too much. They're exactly enough.